And today I am proud to announce key members of my national security team who, along with Vice President Biden and Secretary Clinton, will help us meet them. I've worked closely with most of the individuals on this stage, and all of them have my complete confidence. They are leaders of enormous integrity and talent who've devoted their lives to keeping our nation strong and secure. And I am personally very, very grateful to each of them for accepting these new assignments. Given the pivotal period that we're entering, I felt that it was absolutely critical that we had this team in place so that we can stay focused on our missions, maintain our momentum, and keep our nation secure. When I took office, Bob Gates had already served under 7 presidents, and he carried a clock that counted down the days, hours, and minutes until he could return to Washington State with his wife, Becky. I was able to convince him to stay for 1 more year, or I was able to convince him to talk to Becky about staying 1 more year. At some point along the way, Bob threw out that clock. He is now one of the longest-serving defense secretaries in American history. And as a grateful nation, we can all agree that Bob has more than earned the right to return to private life, which he has decided to do at the end of June. I'll have more to say about Secretary Gates' exemplary service in the days to come, but today every American must know that because he helped to responsibly wind down the war in Iraq, we're in a better position to support our troops and manage the transition in Afghanistan. Because he challenged conventional thinking, our troops have the life-saving equipment they need, and our military is better prepared for today's wars. And because he courageously cut unnecessary spending, we'll save hundreds of billions of dollars that can be invested in the 21st century military that our troops deserve. I am confident Bob Gates will be remembered as one of the finest defense secretaries in American history, and I will always be grateful for his service. I'm equally confident that Bob's reform agenda will be carried out by another great public servant of our time, Leon Panetta. Leon appreciates the struggles and sacrifices of our troops and military families because he served in the Army himself, and because he and his wife Sylvia are proud parents of a son who served in Afghanistan. And just as Leon earned the trust and respect of our intelligence professionals at the CIA by listening to them and fighting fiercely on their behalf, I know he'll do the same for our armed forces and their families. The patriotism and extraordinary management skills that have defined Leon's 4 decades of service is exactly what we need in our next Secretary of Defense. As a former congressman and White House Chief of Staff, Leon knows how to lead, which is why he is held in such high esteem not only in this city but around the world. As a CIA director who's played a decisive role in our fight against violent extremism, he understands that even as we begin the transition in Afghanistan, we must remain unwavering in our fight against al-Qaeda. And as a former OMB director, he'll ensure that even as we make tough budget decisions, we'll maintain our military superiority and keep our military the very best in the world. Leon, I know that you've been looking forward to returning home to Sylvia and your beautiful Monterey, so I thank you for taking on yet another assignment for our country, and I hope you don't have a clock. I'm also very pleased that Leon's work at the CIA will be carried on by one of our leading strategic thinkers and one of the finest military officers of our time, General David Petraeus. This is the 2nd time in a year that I've asked General Petraeus to take on a demanding assignment, and I know this one carries a special sacrifice for him and his wife, Holly. After nearly 40 years in uniform, including leading American and coalition forces in some of the most challenging military missions since 9/11, David Petraeus will retire from the Army that he loves to become the next CIA director, effective early September, pending Senate confirmation. As a lifelong consumer of intelligence, he knows that intelligence must be timely, accurate, and acted upon quickly. He understands that staying a step ahead of nimble adversaries requires sharing and coordinating information, including with my Director of National Intelligence, Jim Clapper. And even as he and the CIA confront a full range of threats, David's extraordinary knowledge of the Middle East and Afghanistan uniquely positions him to lead the agency in its effort to defeat al-Qaeda. In short, just as General Petraeus changed the way that our military fights and wins wars in the 21st century, I have no doubt that Director Petraeus will guide our intelligence professionals as they continue to adapt and innovate in an ever-changing world.